Hello there, everyone. Welcome to Progressive HR Live, where work, humans, and tech converge. I'm Creed Woodman Hollowek, your host today. So let's jump in. Our live today is AI support for the jobs that keep the world running. And I am here talking with Jessica Bagley, COO of FieldMine, technology that earns its place in your toolbox. I love that tagline. That is so awesome. Audience, if you have not already, introduced yourself in the comments and let us know where you're streaming from. And if you are in the Northeast, where Jessica tells me that you just got hit by like 20 inches of snow, which here in Wisconsin, I'd say we're jealous, but we are absolutely not jealous of you. So oh my goodness. So yeah, let's know who's joining us today, and I'm going to jump into the questions with Jessica. But first, Jessica, I'm going to ask you, how are you doing? I mean, had a lot on your hands the last 2 days.
Lot on the hands, like everybody else, just navigating parenting while also trying to run a company, so it's, the constant juggle, but it's good. It's been really an exciting year. FieldMine came out of stealth mode at the beginning on January 7th, at the beginning of this year. We've been building for over a year. So it's been a really crazy first couple of months, but really exciting. And I'm excited to be here and tell you all about it.
Well, tell me first of all, what is stealth mode? Because we hear about that a lot when tech comes up and they're like, we're coming out of stealth mode. And I'm like, okay, so is it what I think it is? But I really want to ask.
So first of all, it just sounds cool, right? Like who doesn't want to be in stealth mode, right? Like step one. So basically what it means is a lot of times because technology, when you're really building that moat of proprietary technology, it takes a period of time. Listen, I know that everybody's like, no, vibe coding, you can have an app up and running in a weekend. And it's like, okay, but if you can have an app up and running in a weekend, so can somebody else, right? Like they can build the same exact thing. So when you're building a technology for a new company, what you typically tend to do is be building behind the scenes for a period of time. You're not really out there advertising. You're probably talking to potential like target customers, having people on beta versions of the app or whatever technology you're trying to build, because you're trying to work out some of the kinks before you're really totally going live saying, hey, listen, we built this thing and we're ready to go. And so that's when tech companies will say we came out of stealth mode. So that's kind of like their official launch into the world.
Okay, it is totally what I thought it was going to be. So, can individuals be in stealth mode too? I mean, like you see on LinkedIn sometimes people are like, "I've got this big thing coming, and it's a teaser," and I mean, can people say like, "I'm coming out of stealth mode"?
I think so. I think you can take some artistic license on the stealth mode for sure.
Matt says hi from South Florida. We also have Stacy joining from Florida as well. Fort Lauderdale, that's where my grandparents lives. And then Monica also from Dallas, Texas. Matt has his own tech company. Was Work Story in stealth mode? I'm curious. Let us know. And Jessica, if you don't know Matt, you should. So I'm pretty sure you do because he's part of the Brand Partnership Network. So anyway, you guys get connected on LinkedIn.
Perfect.
So after my question about stealth mode here, I really want to know, and I think the audience knows as well because they're joining today, is what is FieldMine and who do you help?
Yes, I'm so excited. So a little bit of context here is you and I have known each other for a number of years. And my previous company, Very, that I'm still on the board of, builds connected hardware devices. And those connected hardware devices were ones that were getting deployed into factories, warehouses, out into the world. And what we kept hearing from people was, the technology is great, but it is impossible to service. And we were like, well, that's a really weird thing to say. What do you mean it's impossible to service? And so Ryan, my co-founder and business partner, and I started being like, okay, well, there's got to be a reason why that's happening. And when we were starting to go out there and do research, what we found out is the average age of a field technician in the United States is over the age of 50. So think about that. Think about all of the jobs and, there's typically some kind of span of ages, but that was really tilted heavily. And then we were just like, oh my gosh. So then we start looking, how many open field technicians jobs are there in the United States? And the number is astronomical. I mean, it's truly dizzying. And so we're like, okay, we have got to, one, figure out like, okay, how do we help our current clients at Very to be able to service the equipment that we're putting out there? And then the next thing that we found was that, people were saying, oh, our technicians go out and they're Googling, they're searching on Reddit, they're just like trying to find answers. And there's always, speaking of those technicians that are over the age of 50, one guy in the company that knows every answer. That one guy that everybody calls. So we named him Fred. We said every company has a Fred and everybody wants to call Fred. And poor Fred is the guy on the hardest jobs because he's got all of that knowledge. He's the one who's in there trying to fix the hardest jobs, but everybody's calling him at the same time. And we were like, man, okay, how do we help both these technicians and also the companies to really just figure out, like, how do you get them all of the information? And so we asked ourselves, like, we asked these owners, if we could have your best technician be available to all of your other technicians anytime they needed help, how many problems would that solve for you? And they were like, so many problems you would solve. And we're like, that's it. Okay, we're going to build FieldMind. And so we built it intentionally for the trades. So when I say that, the design of it is really simple because it's meant to be used on your phone. But a lot of times these guys, and I will say it's mostly men, it's a pretty male dominated world of field technicians. But a lot of times they have gloves on because they're on the work site. They've got a tool in their hand. So it needs to be something that's super simple and easy. So we made it very, very simple. Black, white, big orange button. There's a voice ability so they can ask questions. You see using talk to text. They don't even have to, but a lot of them still text, which I think is so interesting. The creatures of habit that we are as humans. But, we really wanted to design it for the job site, not for sitting behind a desk, because we're like, there is technology for that, but this is specific. And then we decided, as we were having a lot of conversations about where the greatest need was, we made the decision to our first vertical that we've targeted is HVAC. So we're really excited and getting really embedded in the HVAC community. And we're also starting to spread out into some other verticals. So we just had a really interesting conversation this past week about someone who works in like corporate fire safety, because obviously that's a huge and very important field. So, but really, the core users are going to be those field technicians who need the answers in the field. It's a closed system. It doesn't search the open internet. So we say no Reddit roulette. No, like, oh, some guy said this once on, YouTube. And so now it's an answer. So it's been really amazing. And I think, one of the other things that we're seeing is a lot of these technicians have such unbelievable pride in the work that they're doing, and they want to feel confident in it. There is huge safety risk, obviously, in a lot of these jobs. Like, you could really harm yourself. Obviously, the units are very expensive, as we all know, anybody who's had to buy a new HVAC unit for their home. And we've been hearing how complicated it was to train, and the length of time it took to train people. And so we thought, we can solve all of this by giving people an AI assistant in their pocket that does not search the open internet. It searches specific manufacturer documentation and provided guidelines so you can get the answer that you need to get your job done and not worry about whether or not it's going to be a correct answer.
Yeah, I think your next vertical should be fireplaces and chimneys, because almost everyone has either a fireplace or a gas fireplace, or we have two in our house, especially like the colder climates. And we had Fred the other day come over, and he spent probably around 15 minutes fixing our fireplace, but 45 minutes to an hour on the phone with other people. And at one point he had to call into the dispatch and ask them to go back through a manual.
Yep. Yes.
Granted, we didn't get charged that. We didn't get to charge that time, but he was in my
Right.
house and I was trying to work.
he's in your home. And
Mhm.
also think about how frustrated that guy is. I mean, I'm sure he sounds like he was fairly calm, cool, and collected, but he's got to be standing there being like, I look like an idiot. Right. And we hear this all the time. Like the technician's like, I look like an idiot. I can't believe I have to call my boss again. I can't believe I have to call the dispatch again. And we've also heard, from lots of people, like guys driving around with physical manuals in their back of their truck. And one of the things that I realized, a lot of these manuals, and my guess is that like those gas fireplaces and HVAC is probably similar. They are like 200 pages long in size 10 font. This is not easy reading material. Like when I started staring at them, I was like, my eyes are crossed after 5 minutes of staring at this. And even if there's a table of contents, the flipping through, the trying to figure out like, what is the problem? And, oh, I tried this, but then I tried that. So one of the big things that we did on FieldMind is we created what's called diagnostic mode. And so when technicians are there and they see the problem, they say, okay, I'm on this make and model of a unit. Here's what I'm encountering. Can you please build me a diagnostic checklist of what to try and in what order? And it asks you a series of questions, and it won't let you go to the next step until you've completed a step. So it's going to say, did you check this? Yes or no? Yes, I did. Everything's fine. Okay, great. Next step. And it was interesting because one of our partners who is a beta tester for us, he actually did that diagnostic mode on an HVAC unit in parallel with FieldMind and ChatGPT. So he's like, I'm going to do it on both and see like what happens. The ChatGPT version took 3 times as long. It also asked him some bizarre questions. Like he was like, I don't even know what that means. Like, that has nothing to do with anything. And honestly, like it just kind of dropped, as we all know, it dropped this huge, long follow this list thing versus FieldMind says, okay, we're going to wait for you to try this. Let us know how it goes. Then we'll tell you the next step. So it's almost like having your boss in your ear, in your pocket, who's saying, okay, try this. Let me know how it goes. Okay, now we're going to move to the next step. So to your point, yes, absolutely. Like the gentleman who was in your home, that's basically what we've been hearing. The other thing we built in, it's very near and dear to my heart because I actually built this portion of FieldMind, is we built a communication and conduct section of it as well, because we heard in addition to the technical needs, there's a lot of these individuals who are, again, going into people's homes or their businesses, their residents, and how are you interacting with them? Like how do you handle situations? So, they can ask questions too, I'm on the job and a client is hovering. What do I say? And one of the things we're really proud of is that FieldMind will tell you, here's what you should do, and here's why you should do it. Because the idea is this is not a perpetual crutch for you, that you are learning the why as you go. So the next time you encounter that problem, maybe you don't have to start at step 1, or step 0. Maybe you start on step 3. But that's a big thing that we've heard as well, is that communication, because again, all of these trades, whether it's, residential or if it's commercial businesses, you're going to have to talk to people along the way. And not one person that we've talked to said in trade school, they taught me how to talk to the customer. No one said that yet. So it's very funny because I thought that was going to be something that would be primarily used by like the new guys, they're right out of trade school. And I had an owner the other day being like, are you kidding me? It's my 60-year-old HVAC tech who needs that, because he gets a little grumpy and he doesn't want to talk to the customers anymore. And I'm like, just ask the app what to say. So it's really interesting because I think we have these perceptions sometimes when we're building something of who's going to use it. And then we're surprised by actually what the actual utilization of that is.
Yeah. And I saw that. So I had the gentleman was training a new guy.
Yes.
And I'll be like really open. The new guy had his socks off. He was laying on my floor. He was rolling around on my floor because he was so bored. And so like he had to do something. And I'm like, are you wearing clean jeans? I mean, like, can you tell me why you're like rolling and doing yoga on my floor and everything? Yep. I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable with this.
Absolutely.
Having 2 grown men in my home.
Right.
And one's rolling on my floor. And
right.
I'm a little bit like weirded out about that.
No, of
But I think,
course.
and being a consumer, I look at that and I say, well, okay, I think that there needs to be immense respect for the people that go into the trades. And we
Absolutely.
all have these stereotypes, and I do think that there needs to be something out there that can be helpful, maybe on both sides. So I'm really excited
Mhm.
about FieldMind. Um, so I'm going to have another question for you, but Matthew did answer the question. So I wanted to go back
Great.
and see what he said he said, we launched at the start of the pandemic, no stealth mode, just started small and grew our platform and features alongside our customers. That said, totally understand the stealth approach if you know you're going to have product market fit as at the get-go. Okay, thanks. Thanks for sharing that, Matthew. A little conversation between two tech founders there.
Love it.
So as I talked about, like, I really do think that the trades demand respect that we were not given to them and the people
Yes.
that work within the trades. I mean, we have this stereotype that you go into the trades because you can't excel at college, or you go into the trades because you can't do certain things. And we do need to have this idea, like, I think that as we in this era of AI, the trades are really extra special.
Mhm.
And so why is FieldMind important in supporting the future of the trades?
It's a great question. And I want to go back because this is something that I have to say I've learned as part of my journey. And I think, I've always had immense respect for people who get out there and roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty because they are doing hard work. And one of the things I really do believe is, like, so we say, made for the hands that keep America running. Like, it's true. Imagine if we didn't have HVAC technicians, as I'm sitting here with 20 inches of snow outside and I'm staying warm, or people who live, in areas that need air conditioning most of the year. I mean, this is real. This is, no matter what the economy is doing, we need this. We need people who know how to do this. And I will tell you, back to these manuals, first time I got my hands on some of these, like, HVAC equipment manuals, like the true, like, especially the commercial stuff you think of in, like, industrial, like, areas. These are 200-page manuals with, and I've worked building connected hardware devices for the last 4.5 years. Unbelievable electric schematics and I have my master's degree, and I was looking at some of this documentation going, what is this? So I think we all need a hard reset on this. Went into the trades because they couldn't go to college or they wouldn't be good at college. Like, I actually think, okay, we're going to go off on a whole tangent. So I'm going to try and hold myself back here. But I am a firm believer that we are measuring intelligence the wrong way, because I think that we have this very historic concept of IQ, which, if we all understand what that means, there's like a problem solving mental processing aspect of that. Okay, great. So that's important. But we also all know those people in our lives who they can pick something up, look at it with their hands, take it apart and put it back together. And I'm like, okay, that spatial awareness, connectivity, conceptualism, that's a different type of intelligence. I think the same about professional athletes. Look at people who drive, like, Formula One cars, and their ability to move their body and, like, the instincts going 200 miles an hour. Like, not everyone can do it. That's an intelligence. Like, I think there are so many different ways that we measure intelligence, and we have, like, completely skewed what we say is the right way to look about it and think about it. And so, like, if you don't score a certain thing on your SATs, you just must be a dum-dum. And it's like, no, that's not true, right? Because there's just many different ways, and we do need all these different aspects of the ecosystem. So I just want to start there because I have to say, I think we do all need a really hard reset here. So I think when you think about, like, why is AI and FieldMind in particular, like, very important for the future of the trades. And why are the trades important? So a couple of things. One of the things that I'm going to say is demand for skilled labor is rising. And this is for a variety of reasons. I think one of the reasons is we do have this workforce that is aging. And what happened was that age group, and you can see it very clearly, all said to their kids what you said: go to college. Don't do this, go to college, right? And so we have this immense gap, decades, of people who were like, okay, I got to go to college, unless they were taking over, the family business. But by the way, we're hearing more and more, a lot of these owners are like, I don't have somebody, my kids don't want this business. And it's crazy, right? Because it's a great business. It's profitable. I'm doing well. Or the kids are going in. I heard that I have talked to an owner the other day. The kids are going in, but they did the college thing and they were doing like a white collar job. And now they're coming in trying to figure out the trades and take over the family business. And it's just like impossible. But that demand for skilled labor is rising. The other thing, and why this is all happening at the same time, is all of this hardware equipment is getting more complicated. Think about the things that you own, you buy into your home now versus what it looked like 10 years ago. Everything has sensors on it. Everything's smart and connected. So when I'm talking to these HVAC techs, they're telling me, they're like, 10, 15 years ago, you went in with a wrench, you went in with your wrench and your hard tools. Now you got to go in with a laptop. You've got to test the circuit board. You've got to run, you've got to run it on the sensor system, because it might not actually be the hardware that has an issue. It might be the connected software that attaches to the hardware that might be the issue, right? So there's this aging workforce, huge labor gap. We've got increasingly complex hardware that's out there in the ecosystem that people are trying to learn. And so these young guys are coming out going, how in the world am I going to learn all of this? Another thing I think that, you and I both see in this people world is the investment in training, development, and onboarding has shifted significantly. So we talk to these guys who've been doing this for 40 years, and they're saying, when I started back in my day, I went out with the guy who had 40 years experience in his truck for a year. I wasn't allowed to touch a tool. I held the flashlight. I couldn't touch anything. So for the first year, all I'm doing is standing there watching him holding the flashlight. He's like, one day you'll touch a tool. I'll tell you when. I'll tell you when you're going to touch a tool, right? Now, these guys are graduating from their trade or technical school, and it's like they're out on a job, they're out on a truck on their own within the first couple of months. And it's like, whoa. Where's the learning? Where's the onboarding? Where's the intent? Like, okay, so I'm going to see a make and model I've never seen before. What do I do? And they're like, buddy, Google it like everybody else. Meanwhile, they're Googling it, get the wrong answer, and end up having to call the supervisor back to be like, I think I broke it, right? So there's this unbelievable way where we have thoughtfully designed FieldMind. It's not replacing anyone. I say that all the time. I, Jessica, have access to FieldMind and all the documents. I, Jessica, should never touch an HVAC unit. I do not have the skill set to do that. FieldMind is not replacing anyone, right? So there's a way that we've thoughtfully designed it to where it's accelerating learning, right? So these people who are new on the job, it's accelerating their learning. It's protecting the quality and safety of the work, because again, in these types of fields, like that is real. Like you could truly hurt yourself, right? I think one of the other things we've heard is some of these young guys just get so frustrated. I talked to somebody the other day. He's like, I was so frustrated, I almost quit. I almost just was like, I can't do this. It's too hard. And this is a way to really make that career long-term and sustainable. Like, you're okay. You don't have to feel like an idiot. There's so much to learn. It's drinking out of a fire hose. Let us help you. And again, it helps to make, that career more sustainable. We've had guys who they've been on the job 10, 15 years. They're using FieldMind. They're like, this is amazing. This is so useful to me. And I've been doing this for a while. Imagine what it's doing it for one of these young guys who's just starting out. And I think that's the other thing too, is it extends the experience. Like it's not just, hey, you just need to get started. It's all along your journey.
Mm-hmm. And we think about it also from the consumer side. As we're having a lot of this, we're talking about the AI scare trade in markets right now. And a lot of people are pulling their money from the markets and they're like, well, bonds aren't even safe. or gold's not safe anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where can I
Yeah.
go? They're putting money into their houses. And so they expect that return to come back, and they expect good technicians,
Absolutely.
supportive
Absolutely.
technicians.
Mm-hmm.
And in all, I mean, this is not just for field service businesses. This is not just for field service techs. This is also like the betterment of the world right now.
Yeah.
As a consumer, I see that. I see that. And I
Mhm.
mean, I'm going to call and be like, "Hey, do you have Field Mind?" I'm going to call the chimney list. Do you have Field Mind? Well, if you
Yes.
don't, let me hook you up with.
Yes. Yes, please do. We love all the interest. I've got to tell you, it's so interesting because especially some of these guys have been doing this for a long time. You know, we go in and we do a demo with them, and we have literally heard some of these guys say, "This is black magic." Like, how have you done this? And it's like, we built it for you. That's why it feels like black magic. But there has just not been a solution. I think as you think about AI, so much of what we hear about is building for finance or for, you know, white collar jobs, like help get rid of operational tasks. And it's like, tell me what tasks out in the trades when you're working with your hands is AI replacing? What's it replacing? So people just haven't been building for them. Meanwhile, I'm going in here and I'm having these conversations. I'm like, oh my gosh, we can make your life easier. You know, and what we talk to, especially in high labor cost areas, we were talking to somebody who's out in the Bay Area, and he's like, do you understand if you guys save my guys 1 hour a month, it pays back? It pays back the cost for this tool. 1 hour, because that's how high my labor cost is. And I was like, yes. And we definitely think we can save you more than an hour, but I'm just saying, like, the perspective of this is unbelievable. And again, the win of that is, in addition to saving that hour, you have a happier customer. That guy got in, got the job done, got out of there faster, probably going to call back again, right? You might have reduced your labor costs as they didn't have to go into overtime. You've got a guy who's walking out of that job feeling confident, feeling like, I did that and I didn't have to call anybody. I feel good and I'm ready to go. And we all know how that works. When you are feeling confident in your job, you're going to keep delivering. When you feel beaten down and like, I cannot win, you can't get out of the cycle. It's just real.
Yeah. And I'm assuming it like also improves employee engagement and employee appreciation. And I mean, you could talk about all day in employee knowledge transfer as well.
Yes. Yes. The key man risk here is huge. I mean, that is one of the biggest things, because that's one of the things. So we have this one company we're working with. I adore them. And they've got a guy who works their service desk. He's the dispatch. He's the one they call. He's had his job for 30 years. His name's Dan. Everything is in paper binders, and Dan is not allowed to have coffee at his desk. I said, guys, you do know one day Dan's going to go on island time, right? Like, Dan's got to retire. And they were like, the two guys I was talking to were like, not before we retire. And I was like, okay, but that's just passing along the problem. So let's fix the problem. So we're working to fix the problem, because you're right. That key man risk, you know, I'll tell you, I think one of the biggest things when we think about, like, as business owners, as HR partners, one of the things that I have learned is that knowledge is our most fragile asset.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you think about the institutional knowledge that lives within some key person's brain, it does not live anywhere else. And what happens when that person walks out of the door? Either because they have a new opportunity or they decide it is time to retire, it just walks out the door. There is no matter how hard you're like, knowledge transfer. So that knowledge is our most fragile asset. It has to be captured. So what I said was about Dan, I said, guys, 2 parts. Part 1, did Dan's service calls get recorded? They're like, they sure do. I'm like, guys, you have a wealth of knowledge. We're going to run transcripts on all of those service calls, and we're going to upload them into FieldMind. Then you're going to have all of your internal information there. 2, all of those papers, one of you's got to have a teenager or college age kid. They're like, yeah, we got a couple of those. I'm like, they are scanning immediately. That is their nights and weekends job. You're going to pay them, because that has to go digital. It just has to. You know it, and I know it. And I know it's frustrating, and I know it's, 30 years of paper, but you got to start. And I said, start with the stuff that Dan gets the most calls about. Start there. The biggest things, the things, your most expensive problems and your most frequent problems are where you start. And we're going to get you moving so that your team now can use FieldMind on those issues, not have to constantly call Dan.
That's awesome. I love it. I have this image of this Dan's book in a fire. When he goes home at night, it goes in a fireplace safe in the basement. But then it's inside another fireplace safe.
Yes.
Safe.
Under complete protection, because it is the only copy that exists and only Dan knows how to use it. I mean, it's just like the most, and again, when you just think about that key man risk, it's like, holy smokes, guys, you are a house of cards right now. What happens if Dan's like, guys, I've had enough. Tomorrow's my last day. Yeah. What happens? So you've got to protect that knowledge. And again, the goal here is not fewer technicians. It's better supported technicians so that they can do their job.
So I really didn't ask too many questions because you've covered them. But I do want to ask these two questions that I have. And if I don't get to the second one, that's okay.
Okay.
But what do you want every HR leader, L&D leader, or operations leader on the live today to know? Like what's your number, like your top three?
Okay. So I think I said one of them. So we'll go fast through these because I think knowledge is your most fragile asset. So I would say, like, as you think about partnering with the business on those transitions, whatever they might be, even people getting promoted and moving role to role, like what does that knowledge transfer look like? I think that's, our most fragile asset. I think one of the things about AI that I think we are going to see a swing back on. I know there's this panic in the market. Everyone's losing their jobs. I think the companies that are going to win the talent war, and I think it's going to be in the nearer future, are the ones who understand that AI should be used to support and to provide better access for your employees. It's not replacing, okay, fine. Like, okay, so we don't have to do some things. I think back to the beginning of my career and a couple of things that definitely could have been automated that I was responsible for, that I'm like, yeah, that stuff could have gone. But to be a well-resourced and supported individual utilizing AI tools, the companies who nail that are the ones who are going to win, because the best people are going to be like, I want to work there. I want to do that. And then I guess my third one is AI adoption is a people strategy.
Yes.
It's not a technical decision. It's a people strategy. And to your point earlier, what you were talking about in terms of engagement, retention, culture, confidence, how are you feeling going into work? And so I think a lot of times, AI, we're hearing like, okay, well, the CTO or the CIO said, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're using AI. And listen, as a person who runs an AI company who uses AI constantly every day, I have to tell you, I feel better at my job using it, not because I wasn't already good at my job, but because it makes me better. It enhances it. It makes me excited. I can spend my time now ideating and thinking through and what could be, and that makes me better. So AI adoption is a people strategy. And so I think that people who are the people in here should just really think about that and think about how you kind of weave that in as part of your overall strategy for your organizations.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I actually wrote about this last week in the newsletter, is that you see layoffs in the media. The media has so much to fault you for media for having layoffs like baseball scores. And I'd really like to see more media on the companies that are actually using AI to support their workforce.
Yes.
Like Walmart just came out with the reskilling, like what are they reskilling? 100,000 employees. I mean, I might have added a zero there, but and you know what? They're doing great in the markets as well. All right. Yeah. So, and then IBM, unfortunately, I think they're not doing the best in the markets, but they came out with everybody's firing entry level, or everybody's cutting entry level jobs. We're hiring. Yes. We're not hiring the 15K entry level, and we're going to have them work with AI and not have AI work for them. Yeah. So Yeah, 100%. So we've got about 10 minutes left, audience. So if there's any questions that you have for Jessica about FieldMind or about AI in the trades, please add those to the comments and we'll answer them. We did touch on this. Yeah, we touched on this already. I just wanted to go back to, again, for technicians closing this learning gap. What does FieldMind do that helps them learn faster while they're at work? And build confidence. Like, how does FieldMind help them go home and say, man, I just rocked my day?
Totally. So I think it's a couple of things. So I think it starts with the really basic stuff. So I think one, it automatically reduces the fear of making a mistake. Because if you're sort of sitting there going, I think this is what I should do, you can say that into FieldMind, right? You don't have to call your boss. You can say, hey, I'm off this make and model. I'm getting these readings. I think this is my next step. Can you verify that? It can say, yep, you're on the right track. Great job. Here's the next things you can do, right? So it kind of reduces that fear, makes you more confident in that moment. I think another thing is it reinforces that good diagnostic thinking. Hey, did you also think about checking this? Oh my gosh, I didn't. Okay, great. Now, next time I'm going to remember to do that. So like step by step, because a lot of this is, when you're working with that hardware, step-by-step process, you got to work through. You can't jump ahead. It just doesn't work. I think it helps technicians verify their instincts, again, because that's part of it. Like any of us, as we do our job over time, we start to sense like, hey, I see something, I smell something, you start to be like, okay, I think this is what I should do. So it verifies those instincts. And I think that like I said, it explains the why, not just the what. Like, here's what you should do, but here's why. And so it's not intended to just be a crutch, but to accelerate that learning process, that experience. And so I think that cycle, helps you. Again, like I can see, and it's so funny because I think I've talked to a lot of like new techs lately, and they said, I went to a great school, every make and model, but you crawl into that crawl space for the first time by yourself, and it just all goes out the window. You crawl into that attic for the first time and you're like, oh boy, this is real. So it just helps them to say, I have something with me. I don't have to feel dumb by calling my supervisor every 5 minutes. I can figure this out. But when I really get stuck, I know that's my backup option. But I can get pretty far without even needing to do that. And so the idea is, let's think about what is AI good at, right? AI is really good at finding information quickly. Right? Mm-hmm. It's really good at recognizing patterns, and it's really good at surfacing guidance. These things are all giving these newer technicians, they're escalating years of experience by using this, right? It's not just a matter of like, okay, you like jumped a month, like years of experience because of that. But what are humans for? You hire humans for their judgment. I've said this for years. When I hire a human, their skills, but it's judgment. I'm hiring them for their judgment. Their craftsmanship in the field, obviously, they have to have that ability to deliver on the craft. Your point earlier, relationships with customers, right? You're like, I want to feel confident that you are in my home, touching my things, and this is all going to be okay. And then the pride in the work. There's that's one of the things I have to say about the trades. And I was at a conference a few weeks ago for HVAC, and there is a real pride that this is the work that they do. It's hard work, but it's impactful work. There's a difference immediately made for your customers. There's a pride in that. So I think, that's where I think like, yes, this is AI. It's not trying to replace people. And also it can really be confidence building in addition to answer giving.
That's awesome. Monica jumped into comments and she said, reskilling needs to be part of the employee retention and development plan. Sadly, it often is not. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yes.
And now we have a great question from Ray. Ray says, how are you ensuring the intent, not becoming the crutch, and the result are the same outcome?
This is where you still need humans, right, Ray? Like you still need to have a supervisor, a dispatcher, an owner that's still saying, okay, guys, like here, what are we going to learn today? So we're working on that as part of the roadmap of how we can also do push notifications in terms of learning. Because it is, I totally hear you. It's a delicate balance, and you've got to have that human intervention. It's not just saying, okay, like here's what you do. We're also working on some ways, especially from onboarding right from the start, how we're going to build some things for people that actually walk them through. And we're thinking through ways to kind of gamify it as well. So they start to have some base of knowledge that is not just always asking the question. And I totally understand. And, people have lots of philosophical disagreements about this one, about like, are we all going to be dumber because we use AI? And like, my answer is no, because honestly, I think the input creates the output. So you have to have a really strong knowledge base in order to get the best output. But, I go back to, I'm a firm believer, there still needs to be human intervention, management, direction, and coaching to make sure it's utilized alongside of the AI to make sure that people truly are learning and growing.
Yeah. And I think AI makes us smarter. I think that when I can rely on something to give me a good answer, I have more mind space for other things. I have more mind space to learn about things. Like I've learned so much in the last, I would say year and a half. I'm trying to remember when GPT 4.0 came out in comparison to 5.2. So I really think 5.2 really took off, and I've learned so much, and I've been able to, because a lot of systems I've built through my ChatGPT has been able to take a lot of the load off of me, so I can go and learn things about, like, super interested in the financial markets, super interested in, I don't know, I made a different cookie for my kids the other day, and
I love it.
And so, I do think AI makes us smarter. It's the way that you learn or the way that you use AI. It's not just a crutch. So I wanted to quickly wrap up, and then Ray, I see a comment on actually, I'll take Ray's comment first, and then I'll wrap up, and then we'll go back. So many levers. It's so fun. So Ray says, suggest having intermittent no access to AI evaluations of skills learned. So that's an offer to you for a suggestion. So thanks, Ray. Appreciate that. So quickly. Okay. So you should follow FieldMine on LinkedIn, and also follow as well FieldMine on, there's my QR code. Yay.
Love it.
This is the QR code to follow FieldMine on LinkedIn. And then you can also follow FieldMine on Instagram. So Jessica just on Instagram. And then if you have questions about FieldMine, or you wanted to learn more, you can go ahead and connect with Jessica Bagley on LinkedIn. Or you're welcome to bring your questions through Progressive HR, and we will get a hold of Jessica for you. She's hard to nail down sometimes, but
it's not for lack of want. I promise. I need a clone and a couple more hours in the day, and I should be set. Then I'll be very available.
I don't know. I've had some DMs come through for offers to clone me, so I'll hook you up.
Please let me know.
Give me an avatar.
Please
I'm
let
like,
me know.
Yes, ready for that.
I love it.
So our next Progressive HR Live is on March 19th. We're going to be talking with Angela Stati. Where the conversation is AI agents as teammates and what makes them trustworthy at scale. And if you know Angela, she knows that she is very deep into deep tech. And she's been doing a lot of work on AI ethics and agent ethics over the course of the last few months. And she also used to be my teammate at university as well. So we go back. And so we're having this interesting conversation. Before we end, Jessica, is there anything that you wanted to leave the audience with?
I guess, a few things, but the biggest thing is, AI is not the enemy. You can definitely leverage it. And I think, again, like I said, I think AI has a lot of opportunity for a lot of organizations to really help people feel supported, feel resourced, and feel more confident in the work that they're doing. It's up to the organizations, and especially the leadership, to really model what that should look like, and I think it's important for them to understand, how you model that, and also how you make sure that people feel confident that using AI isn't going to replace them in their jobs. And instead, the adoption of the tools is going to make them better at what they do.
100%. All right, you resourceful humans. We'll see you March 19th. Have a very wonderful, I don't know, what day is it? It's Tuesday today. Stay safe and warm. Bye.